New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all.
Well, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And now the good news. Well, I'm so delighted to be with you today. And here we are, one more Friday afternoon of good news. So let us begin. Somebody used this coin as bus fare, and it was discovered that it was minted by the Phoenicians 2,000 years ago. I don't know who did this, but they're probably regretting it. So, struck 2,100 years ago on the coast of Spain by mariners from the Fertile Crescent, a coin bizarrely made its way to the English city of Leeds, where someone successfully attempted to use it as bus fare. It is an incredible story that reminds us how history, even ancient history, can be found all around us, popping up when you least expect it. The story was shared by Leeds Museum and Galleries after they received the coin as a donation from one of the local people. It first came into the hands of James Edwards, former chief cashier with Leeds City Transport, who gathered fares from bus and tram drivers and counted them at the end of each day. Part of this job involved plucking out any ineligible fake or foreign coins used by dishonest commuters, which Edwards would then take them home as gifts to his young grandson, Peter, who kept the precious mementos in a small wooden chest for more than 70 years. My grandfather would come across coins which were not British and put them to one side, and when I went to his house, he would hand me a few, said Peter Edwards, who donated the ancient coin. It was not long after the war, so I imagine soldiers returned with coins from countries they had been sent to. Neither of us were coin collectors, but we were fascinated by their origin and imagery. To me, they were treasure. Coin collected or not, Peter and James would have doubtlessly noticed the antiquity inherent in the 2,100-year-old coin. Slow down. And it long tickled Peter's curiosity. His diligent research eventually revealed that his grandfather's gift came from what was once a Carthaginian, a settlement on the Spanish coast called Gadir, today's Cadiz. Famous enemies of early Rome, Carthage was a city-state where shared cultural origins in a seafaring people known as the Phoenicians. These outcasts from Tyre, modern-day Lebanon, settled in various parts of the Mediterranean coastline, including Carthage in modern city Tunisia, and the city that would be called Cadiz in Spain. Wow, that is a remarkable coin, and I'm sure the museum is very happy to have it. Got to look at what we're putting down, pay attention. Okay, good use for plastic. Who knew there would be such a thing? So waste plastic turned into a Parkinson's drug. A drug to treat Parkinson's disease can be made from waste plastic bottles using a pioneering method, a new study shows. The approach harnesses the power of bacteria to transform post-consumer plastic into L-DOPA, a frontline medication for the neurological disorder. It's the first time a biological process has achieved this, and the scientists behind the breakthrough said it would be a more sustainable method of making pharmaceuticals, which normally rely on the use of finite fossil fuels. The story comes from the University of Edinburgh, where the team led by Dr. Stephen Wallace engineered E. coli bacteria to turn a type of plastic used widely in food and drink packaging into L-DOPA. Some 50 million metric tons of this plastic, nicknamed PET, are produced annually, and the process involves first breaking the plastic down into chemical building blocks of terephthalate acid. Molecules of this are then transformed into the L-DOPA by the engineered bacteria through a series of biological reactions. This feels like just the beginning, said Wallace, who works as a professor at the university's School of Biological Sciences. This could become a deal changer for so many people. So keep up the good work, and let's just continue on. All right. Well, there is this woman has a DoorDash camera, and what she videoed was really interesting. A woman who had a DoorDash order brought to her house was shocked to see an old man on her doorbell camera. Inspired to help, she set up a GoFundMe, which raised $940,000 to allow the man to retire. It was just another weekday in Manchester, Tennessee, when Brittany Smith heard the doorbell ring. Switching on her phone's Ring doorbell camera app, she was surprised to see an elderly man she would later learn was named Richard ascending to her porch in a red flannel shirt and khakis. It could have been called a door dawdle order, as in his old age he could hardly dash up the steps to her front door and needed the handrailing for support. My daughter's dad is a quadriplegic, and he's often has things sent to the house because he can't physically go get them, Smith said. This poor guy is struggling to get up my stairs to deliver my very capable daughter her Starbucks. Calling her daughter's father, Smith asked to leave a bigger tip, but the father replied the opportunity through the DoorDash app to do so was gone. Meanwhile, she posted the video footage from the Ring camera on TikTok and on other social media platforms, wondering if anyone in Manchester knew who the old man was. A Facebook user recognized him as Richard and got in contact with Smith to reveal his identity and address. Driving over, Smith offered him a $200 tip, which would have made the story beautiful on its own, but it got even sweeter than the Starbucks Richard had delivered. At his house, Richard explained that his wife lost her job and that the two of them quickly lost their savings, paying for monthly expenses and a very costly medication she was taking. Richard took the DoorDash gig to try and supplement their income. That's when Smith set up the GoFundMe with the aim of helping Richard get back to retirement. Woo! That is one nice way. What was her name? Oh, Brittany. Brittany. I'd like to retire someday. Want to, set up a campaign for me? Maybe, maybe not. Just messing with you. All right, moving along. Japan's yogurt delivery. These ladies serve as a support net for country's aging population. So the best travel stories are often those most subtle, things that only a genuinely attentive person could pick out in the strange society they pass through. Such a story comes now from Japan via the BBC, where reporter Galila Couch put together the tale of a unique profession of smiling watchers who consider themselves to have the double duty of watching over the country's aging population while, of all things, delivering probiotic yogurt door to door. For the average tourist in Japan, there's perhaps to see, cherry blossoms, Kyoto's temples. A woman passing by in a smart navy jacket and skirt lined in plaid trim, ribboned with a name tag and a matching sun hat, might merely appear part of the scenery. But for BBC reporters, it was a loose thread of a story to pull on. The result was this story of the Yakult Yogurt Company and their delivery ladies called Yakult Ladies. In the early 20th century, Yakult was trying to sell probiotic yogurt drinks at a time when bacteria was something that made you sick. Realizing it needed a competent sales force to explain the difference, the company first employed men to go door to door until a labor shortage saw more and more women enter the workforce. And Yakult came to reason that since women took care of the groceries, they'd be more likely to heed the advice of other women. Therefore, the Yakult lady in her iconic uniform was born. The strategy was a hit and the company grew. As the decades passed, Japan became the world's fastest aging population, with some 30% of citizens over the age of 65. Social isolation and loneliness among seniors have become nationally relevant challenges. At the same time, it was unusual for the only familiar face an elderly Japanese person might see come to their house was the Yakult delivery lady. This situation created a Yakult lady as a social guardian of sorts, a watcher who may be the only person who knows whether an elder is experiencing failing health, or on the flip side, who knows they just took up yoga and planned a trip to China. Yakult ladies are not just people who sell products. We are watchers in a sense, people who look out for others, who notice small changes in health or lifestyle. Wow, what a brilliant idea. And as you can see from the picture, it's not just in Japan anymore. Yeah, we got to take care of our elderly, absolutely. And what a great way to help with loneliness and such. I love that. Oh, this is one of my favorite stories this time. Free oysters to any man 80 years old, accompanied by his father. So, elderly father and son feast on free oysters after cashing in on a decades-old restaurant promise. From Alabama comes the story of two restaurant regulars chowing down on a 54-year-old promise from their favorite oyster bar. Jim and Jimmy Rush always wondered whether the sign behind the bar at Winsal's Oyster House in Mobile was for real. It promised a night of free oysters, as many as could be eaten, for any man 80 years of age, accompanied by his father. Hung by Winsal's original owner, a man fond of quirky and humorous signage, Jim and his son Jimmy made a pact to take the restaurant up on their offer, even if it meant waiting 54 years. We kept asking, was this sign for real? And they said yes. As it happens, we said, has anybody ever done it? And they said no. The Rushes ate at Winsal's frequently, particularly in the days following Mardi Gras festivals, and they soon became as much a part of the furniture as the sign that always tickled their curiosity. The years went by, the OPEC embargo, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the advent of the internet, the great financial crisis, and every so often the Rushes would call the restaurant and double check if the deal was still valid. Current owner Clay Olmelski said that Mr. Winsel lived at a time when the only way an 80-year-old man could dine accompanied by his father was if he brought his ashes in an urn and slapped it down on the bar next to him. But perhaps due to a diet rich in seafood, which Jim Sr. credits for his long life, he was able to walk into Winsel's last month arm in arm with Jim Jr., sit down with over a dozen friends and family, and finally call in that long-promised meal. Most people read that sign behind the bar and laugh, but tonight Jimmy Rush walked in on his 80th birthday with his father, James Rush, 99, right beside him, and turned one of Winsel's rarest traditions into a real-life milestone. How cool is that? 99 and 80. Wow. I love it. Well, this waitress has fed 270,000 meals to homeless Floridians thanks to a family that gives their all. Yes, a Florida waitress has served more than 270,000 meals to the homeless alongside her husband and two vibrant sons who all exemplify their Christian faith. And an immigrant from Barbados, Gloria Vargas, has run the operation since 2012, largely from her home in Fort Lauderdale. I started with buying a little bit of spaghetti and ground beef, and I started with 40 meals. The next week, it went to 60, 80 meals. Before you know it, I was at 200 meals every weekend. On a waitress's salary, using all her resources, Gloria now purchases huge amounts of chicken, fish, fresh produce, rice, bread, and bottled water, enough to nourish 175 to 200 people. Her sons write, "God loves you," as an encouraged scripture on each meal's styrofoam lid, and minister to the downtrodden by listening to their stories. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when other organizations were shutting down, Vargas expanded her operation to serve up to 600 meals, feeding communities in both Fort Lauderdale and Miami. When it's cold, when it's windy, when it's raining, it doesn't matter. We have to show up, Vargas said in an media interview. Then, thanks to a generous seed grant from the Buyers Foundation, she set up a nonprofit, Care in Action USA. Now a daily operation, Vargas prepares approximately 120 breakfasts and 125 dinners, which are distributed to waiting crowds in under 40 minutes. Wow. Care in Action USA. Now that's a remarkable charity. I love it. Well, this story's so cool. This guy took vape batteries and runs his car. Yes, I'm not kidding. He made a battery pack using disposable vapes to power his electric car. Yes. So using a homemade battery pack built out of discarded vapes, on a quest to show that so many valuable resources are being cast off every day. Last year, the Good News Network reported that Crystal had stripped down the lithium batteries from 500 disposable vapes, power sources he described as fully rechargeable, to create a power bank big enough to run his home. Not willing to stop there, the 27-year-old engineer then decided to reuse the battery pack to power a trip in an electric car. He needed a vehicle with a small battery, so bought a 2007 G-Wiz for 800 pounds, named the worst car that year by Top Gear, and spent 5 months working on the project. He finally took it out for a spin last month. The young man from Warwickshire, England, who calls himself the engineer equivalent of a mad scientist, documented the process on his YouTube channel, which has 164,000 subscribers. And you can watch that video. We put the link there for you. He went to the local vape shop last May asking if they would donate their returns for his house battery project. He walked away with bags containing 2,000 vapes. It took him 6 months during his free time at home outside Birmingham to extract the rechargeable lithium batteries from the devices. He then used a 3D printed case to combine 500 cells wired in parallel into groups connected in series to make a massive battery pack. The completed pack successfully powered his house for 8 hours before finally running out of juice. Immediately, he set his sights on his next project, the car. I was speaking with a colleague about how I wanted to power a vehicle, but because EVs have such enormous batteries, I thought it was never going to be possible. My colleague came up with a genius idea of using the G-Wiz. It's pretty much the only car out there with a 48-volt battery, meaning the power wall would work with it. The microcar only requires a battery with a voltage of 48 volts, well below Tesla's 400. It has a maximum speed of just 50 miles per hour, yet seats 2 adults and 2 small children. It ran for 2 hours, covering a distance of 18 miles, entirely powered by vape batteries. Talk about renewable resources. I love that. It's so good to see people, who have those skills to come up with these remarkable things. So this man visits Norway as a kid and then finds himself on a postcard the next time he returns. Family vacations create plenty of memories, but one man from Finland ended up with a souvenir he never could have expected. Jarkko Huhtinen recently shared a fun story from his childhood that has people smiling online. When he was a kid, his family often traveled from Finland to Norway. During one of those trips back in 1971, his father snapped a photo of him sitting on the back of a stuffed polar bear. Yes, what a great picture. It seemed like a perfectly ordinary vacation moment at the time. But when the family returned to the same place on a later trip, they noticed something surprising in a shop. There was a postcard on display featuring a familiar image. It was Jarko. The postcard showed the exact moment his dad had taken the photo. Jarko sitting proudly on the stuffed polar bear with his father nearby taking the photograph. Isn't that fabulous? I love that. Decades later, Houghton and Sint shared the memory on Threads. We always traveled to Norway when I was a kid. My dad once took a picture of me on a stuffed polar bear. The next time we went there, we noticed a postcard with a picture of me and my dad taking the picture. What started as a simple snapshot during a family trip had somehow turned into a postcard moment, literally. I love that. Okay, well, here's my favorite dad birthday card. It's an online review and it's perfect. So, this dad recently shared the birthday card he received from his son, and it's guaranteed to make you smile. Today is my birthday. This is the card I received from my son. He knows me so well, he wrote. So, the card reads Dad, 1971 model, 5 stars. Buyer received product for free. Great at giving obscure facts that he learned decades ago. Somehow is able to answer questions before they are asked and can figure out who someone is from that guy from that thing makes me question if he may be a wizard. Good hugs could be made of feathers. Loves a nap, or as he would phrase it, resting my eyes. Awesome taste in movies, even if he falls asleep through many of them. Likes a game night, but hates frustration. He may commit crimes over the game one day, possibly. Overall, would strongly recommend for the price. Products bought together, mom. It's proof that the best gifts don't have to be expensive. They just need to come from the heart. With a little creativity and a lot of love, this son gave his dad a birthday memory he'll treasure forever. Isn't that beautiful? That one made me giggle. Oh, so much giggling. All right, 2 more stories to go. So this woman stopped a porch pirate with kindness. A simple act of compassion turned what could have been a tense confrontation into a powerful moment of grace in Philadelphia. When Bernadette Williams noticed someone attempting to steal a package from her neighbor's porch, she didn't respond with anger. Instead, she chose empathy. Doorbell camera footage captured the moment she calmly called out, "Put that down." But what happened next surprised everyone. Rather than escalate the situation, Williams reached into her pocket and offered the woman $7, the only cash she had on her. For Williams, the decision came from a place of compassion. She's in trouble. How can I make a bad situation better? You have to be part of the solution, she explained. Her kindness didn't stop there. She also offered words of encouragement, telling the woman, "Get some help. You're better than that. I love you. God loves you." The woman clearly moved, apologized, and thanked her. Williams later shared that she could see genuine remorse in the woman's eyes. Her eyes of, "I'm sorry." That was in her heart, and that's what I read. I hope that she will be fine, and I have faith that she will be fine. Having lived in the neighborhood for decades, Williams said her actions were rooted in a deep sense of community. We are part of this community, and we can make our community better. Ooh, love is the answer. Love is the answer. And now we have our hero of the week. Wow, this story is so moving. I love it. This doctor adopts a 4-year-old patient who had no family when he arrived for heart surgery and went on to find homes for his 5 siblings too. The 4-year-old boy was headed into heart surgery all alone, a sad circumstance that would soon unleash a butterfly effect of kindness as his anesthesiologist became his mother, helping to deliver the stable home life he never had. The duo first met in 2022 after the boy named True was born with congenital heart disease requiring surgery, and he spent his earliest years in foster care. On the day of his operation at Children's Nebraska Hospital, his social worker had COVID, so True was admitted for the surgery by himself. That's when Dr. Amy Beath walked in. He was sitting there all alone. It took me back that this 4-year-old was going to go through heart surgery and nobody was there. True's procedure took about 7 hours, and Amy spent most of that time thinking about the sweet little kid who was going through it all by himself. Dr. Amy eventually contacted True's caseworker and learned a little bit more about the boy. He had 6 siblings, 5 of whom were placed with a grandmother due to a domestic violence situation. None of them were thriving, and it was hard to find a permanent home for True, considering all his medical needs. After all, the social worker, before long, my goodness, my words are making them up themselves. Before long, the social worker asked Amy a question that would soon change everyone's lives. Are you an option? The answer was already waiting in Amy's heart. Now I'll get emotional. She was currently a mom of 6 with 3 biological children and 3 who were adopted, but she knew her family and her heart had room for 1 more. After I dropped True off in recovery, I called my husband and I just said, we need to have a talk when we get home. I need you to have an open mind. When Amy's husband, Ryan, met True in the hospital, he immediately fell in love with him, and the 4-year-old became a Beath about a month after his surgery. Yeah, I'm getting a little emotional here. This is beautiful. Then an even more remarkable thing happened. The Beaths realized how close True was with his other siblings, so Amy sought to find them foster homes too, so the kids could all stay connected. Amy's sister adopted one of the girls, and her sister-in-law's family adopted another. A co-worker adopted 2 more, and then Amy and Ryan opened their hearts and home again to adopt True's sister, Lainey. Well, I hope you're shedding some tears out there too, not just me. The 6 all found homes, Amy told the Washington Post, and the adoptions all became official in August of 2023 during one big, huge adoption ceremony. How beautiful is that? It's hard to measure the positive impact Amy has added to the siblings' lives, but the biggest benefits likely belong to True. His heart condition will almost certainly require a transplant someday, a procedure that wouldn't be possible without a reliable support system. Without a successful, loving home, a patient like True with extraordinary complex congenital heart disease would not be able to survive, said Jason Cole. So in 2022, when the little boy's broken heart required surgery, he may have entered the hospital waiting room all alone, but there was an angel on the other side. Wow, that one got me. Hey, I got through almost the whole show before I broke down. How good is that? Well, talk about a hero, the whole family, just absolutely amazing. And, as we close the show today, I just want to remind you we're here every week at 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Eastern. And you're welcome to join us every week or watch it in reruns. You can do that as well. The joy of this show is that there are so few good news channels in the world. And so this one, I think, really does a great job. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And you might even want to consider making a donation to ntmedia.org, hitting the donate link. NT Media is a powerful organization changing lives one positive message at a time. We're on the air all week long. We've got a radio station. You don't want to miss what this station has for you. It's all good news. I can swear on that. Have a wonderful weekend. Know that you are loved, that you are precious, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.